Hey guys, so I've had a question come up a lot lately. What is a solar lease, and what is the difference between a solar lease and a purchase? Um, so a solar lease is something that where basically you don't own the equipment. You basically hire a company that comes in, they install the equipment, they hook it up just like a normal system, but the equipment isn't owned by you, it isn't insured by you, or you're not responsible for any maintenance, which at first glance that actually sounds like a really good thing. Like, why would you want to maintain it if you don't have to? But there are a lot of really interesting things that people find out the hard way because they're not usually fully disclosed by whoever you're meeting with. So personally, I mean, there are a few select scenarios where solar leases make sense in my mind. But my first concern about solar leases and why I very rarely recommend them to clients is that most of the solar leasing companies are these very large national companies and banks, and because they are the ones that have the money to pay for all this equipment that they're putting on people's roofs. Now, one of the biggest drawbacks to a lease and why most people choose to do a purchase is because the federal tax credit is collected by the leasing company in the case of a solar lease. So that's why it makes sense in certain situations, such as a retired person who maybe isn't paying a lot in federal taxes and cannot get the tax credit for solar, or someone who's disabled, also they're not going to be paying much in taxes, or just sometimes people that are old enough where they don't feel like purchasing a system makes sense. So one of the first things that you have to understand about a solar lease is that customer service is one of the most important things with a lease, because it's not your equipment, but it does affect you if the system doesn't work properly. So if you go with a company that has poor customer service and something happens with your system, it's not producing what it should, good luck getting help, So with a solar lease, customer service is super, super important. And the installation quality is also super, super important. If you have a company that is massive, a lot of the time their standards on their installers and how they're trained and the quality with which they're trained kind of goes down, at least from what I've seen. So and most of the time leases have warranties where they say like, oh yeah, you have a roof penetration guarantee. But then we go back to customer service. If that company doesn't get you help for 2 months, if they put a leak in your roof and they don't get you help right away, like that's going to cause a larger problem in your home. And what I will say is, I've read through many lease agreements, because a big part of my purpose as a business owner is making sure that anyone that I'm helping to go solar has a quality product, and I am a customer advocate first and foremost. And some of these lease agreements are like 40 to 50 pages long, and they're very vague, in some areas. I've read them page for page, all the way through, all the fine print, because I want to know whether the company is trustworthy, because I don't ever want to set a client up with some company that isn't trustworthy, right? So as of yet, we only right now have one company that we work with for leases, and even then it's extremely rare that I recommend a lease to anyone. But if you are one of those few people that are in that circumstance, definitely reach out if you have questions, because there is a lot to it. There's a lot more than I can really do on this like quick video. But in general, if you have enough of a tax liability, meaning you pay the government enough in taxes in a year, to be able to make sense of a solar purchase, it is typically much better to do that. I'm going to record another video on solar purchases and kind of talk more about that, okay? But like I said, leases can be good. They have to be done right. You have to really, really do your due diligence on who you're working with on that project, and make sure that you are very well informed. Read your agreement, read all the fine print. If you cannot take the time to read a 40 to 50 page agreement, then you shouldn't be signing anything, because very rarely does the person that you're talking to that comes out to your house to sell this thing to you, very rarely are they going to actually tell you everything. And that's one of the biggest problems in my industry, and one of the reasons I own a company, because there is so much shady stuff going on out there, so many lies and scams, and it's really not okay. So anyways, please reach out if you have any questions, whether it's for a purchase or a lease, doesn't really matter. I'm happy to, help you see kind of what fits your situation. All right, thanks guys.